Hello, everyone. Good day, wherever you're listening to me from. Welcome back to the Leon Legray podcast, episode 258. And today, I'm going to go over news on Intel. Intel's Nova Lake CPU details leaked. Productivity powerhouse. Or is it? And we're going to get onto it in today's episode. If you're listening to me today here on YouTube or your podcast platform of your choice, please be sure to comment down below or email me or give this podcast a thumbs up wherever platform you're listening to me from, or subscribe. Thanks again. To get started with today's episode, which we're going to be going over on today, which right now, as of recently, Intel has been doing a lot better now. And it's just picking up steam. So right now we're not just seeing just AMD just taking over for the last couple of years because of the Ryzen chips, and also Intel did have fallen or have synced a little bit too because of the fact that the Ryzen chips have taken over. And right now, as I'm using AMD, look, I've been an AMD person for many years, but that doesn't mean that things could change right now too, because look, Intel has done some crazy shady stuff with the last person in charge. And as of the moment, I don't know who was the last person that was in charge of Intel, but now under Liputan, now in charge and now taking over Intel and now making initiative steps, which, on my honest opinion, back in the 2000s, Intel should have taken over like the smartphone and the other markets that they should have taken advantage of. And so they've really missed out on. Now, that is in my own opinion too. And Intel would have kept on kicking ass. And for those of you that don't know, Intel was great during a short period in the 2000s. And then once we passed the 2000s, things just kind of synced down around 2015 or so, because everyone knew about the leaks and the fact that we were getting a lot of misinformation with Intel. But who knows how things are going to go. Now, let's get right onto Intel's Nova Lake CPU detail leak, which that's been reported since as of April 13th, not too long ago too. So 2 days back, as you are listening to the episode in the moment. So here in the article on PC World, it states Intel's new next generation desktop CPU, Nova Lake, has leaked, and boy, does it look like a workhorse, including what, fingers crossed, looks like the debut of Thunderbolt 5 on the desktop. So that's right, everyone. So we're going to be seeing Thunderbolt 5, though I can't say if it's going to make such a massive improvement over compared to Thunderbolt 4, and I've never used Thunderbolt myself. So that, for me, I don't have that much experience with it. So continue on the article. Within the last few days, both WCCF Tech as well as Video Cards appears to have independently received details of Intel's next desktop CPU, which Intel scheduled for the end of 2026 a year ago. That schedule appears to be on track, along with an unofficial brand name, the Core Ultra 400. Four things stand out. First, Intel has basically acknowledged that AMD's cache-heavy approach has worked with its powerhouse Ryzen 9000X 3D platform, and as followed suit with what both sites are referring to as the last level cache, or BLLC. Second, Intel recognized the rather obvious limitation in the Ryzen 9000X 3D platform and has, in some versions, moved to loading up two CCDs, the approach that AMD took with its Ryzen 9000X 3D 2 chips too. Intel is also deprioritizing graphics and massively increasing core counts. Finally, the platform does seem to include Thunderbolt 5, hopefully integrating this time around. There's a lot like video cards mentioned that Intel is actively promoting. forward socket compatibility. Another page stolen from AMD. Over the years, AMD's AM4 socket has held on for years and years, and Intel sounds like it plans for Nova Lake LGA 1954 socket to be around for a while. Intel is also planning for integrated Wi-Fi 7, low energy audio, and support for as many 8 SSDs across PCI Express 4.0 and 5.0 graphics output. Will apparently support 4 independent displays too. Video cards is also claiming that there will be 2 Thunderbolt 5 connections, which I'm also modest excited about. Desktops PCs tend to have a wide variety of I/O ports, and hopefully desktop PCs will continue the trend. Thunderbolt 5 and the I/O standard, which allows up to 80 gigabits per second bi-directionally, in some cases 120 gigabits in a single direction. Wow, that's quite high too. Goodness gracious. Was a big bust for me initially, in part because the lack of hardware support, display support, and the lack of external GPUs. I do not want to see all those I/O ports go away in favor of a single Thunderbolt connection to an external Thunderbolt dock, as that will just add costs, which I actually agree to, because this is going to be something I'm just going to say right now. Like, that's cool that they're going to end up adding the Thunderbolts and all that too, but I really hope that things just doesn't change all that much for the motherboards and how it's going to be implemented. But we're going to have to see how that's going to go for this. And now also the author that wrote this article is Mark Hanchman for this article piece right there. And so to me, this is something I have to say though. Intel is stepping up, and I have to say I like where Intel is finally saying, okay, we've got to do something. We've been behind with our CPUs. First of all, AMD has outperformed us for many years now, and there is no excuse of why we as a company cannot step up against AMD's level right now too. Now, with Intel Nova Lake, I'm just saying right now, if that goes well, this will go tremendously well along for the Intel brand. And I will point this out that I'm sure they will do pretty good. Let's be honest, the Intel really needs a moment, at least a moment to shine at this point where, hey, I look, to me, I like where AMD is going, but I would like to see where Intel is going, because Intel used to be kind of the force of nature during the gaming scene. And basically what I actually refer back then, and some people refer this as well, where if you bought a Intel PC, that basically is a rich man's, it's basically like a rich man's computer. And you purchase the most powerful computer, which is the dual core era and the iCore series, right? And under Intel. But that's right now, who knows how this is going to go? Because if you were building a PC, even in today's world, I would expect that you would end up purchasing a computer that will run smoother and more, just as efficient as the AMD's chips. And who knows? So even in the article, continue on PC World's article, just to go over now. So on this next paragraph, which says Nova Lake's CPU's cores built for AI, Intel Nova Lake will apparently ship in 8-core, 16 cores, 28 cores, and 52 core variants with both Coyote, Cove performance cores, and Arctic Wolf effectively. Cores populating the system along with Intel NPU 6 of an undisclosed performance power consumption should stretch from 35 watts to 175 watts with an option for a GPU less configuration at the top end. Intel appears to have stumbled into success, at least from one perspective. A year ago, the lack of integrated GPU was far more worrisome than it is now. But Intel's mobile Panther Lake CPU made up for that with a robust processor that offers the gaming power of a discrete GPU. So that's very interesting to hear what the author wrote on this too, because if so, and if that is disclosed in true for what Intel is doing with their CPU Nova Lake, I mean, this is gonna be something to look forward to, and also the fact that Intel is jumping in with agentic AI with the article talking about NPU. I would say, who knows? Probably I'm somewhat convinced with that, and who knows if NPU is gonna push in further, because for me, I'm more of a guy that's more interested on the CPU side than the NPU side. For me, I like to see how it's going to run on my computer on a daily use. Now, if you are someone that works on the AI or heavily interested on agentic AI, then this is going to be for you, Nova Lake, right there. And for us gamers, most gamers really don't care about the agentic AI much, except for like, if anyone is developing AI for their daily use, good. And personally, it wouldn't work for me because I'm not gonna program my PC to have it run agentically, and so that's not something I care about it all that much really too. And so if that is the way Nova Lake is going to be, that's going to be fine too. Now, if you are someone that is working with AI, or if you're part of that industry, that is something that you probably end up being more interested than yourself than I am too. Now, to be fair though, AMD is still racking up on the top too. So, but however, it doesn't mean that Intel will probably step over AMD by a margin. So where I take a look on the way things are going, because right now Intel is performing really well, and I've written about this in a recent newsletter on the gray quarters, which is my newsletter. So you guys can check it out, which I post, random thoughts and what goes on in the industry, which you guys can check it out for yourself, gaming or tech, in the tech culture around too, which I talk about it pretty consistently too. But still, I wonder how Blue Team is going to go about it too, because look, Intel has, I will say in fairness, is that they've been they have lagged behind a bit too. But now, as the markets have spoken, even from the other day as I'm watching, with Market Watch and everything else, and also with the recent news with Intel teaming up with SpaceX, which they're going to be developing chips for the SpaceX models. So who knows? I think it's going to go pretty well on Intel's favor. So, just in my opinion, I do think it's going to go well in the team of the Blue Camp. We'll see about that too. But anyways, that is something I've had in mind, and I'm sure some of you guys are still a big cheerleaders for Intel, or I'm sure many of you listening are more of the big cheerleaders for AMD. Who knows? Because right now the Ryzen brand, AMD's Ryzen brand is still very good, and even though while AMD's CPUs are highly priced, and that is true right now. If it was me, and even in today's market, I would purchase a AMD right now. Or, well, I would say if you have the money, sure, AMD will be fine. But if you are looking to get a good budget computer or a good budget test desktop, really, by all means, I would say Intel right now. Intel is doing good, well, decently now, and it is picking up where the affordability of CPUs have gone down because right now Intel needed to sell CPUs, and they are selling the iCore 13, iCore 14 desktop CPUs, which they really need to step up at the moment. So, and that's where we're at with Intel. And according to the PC World's article, Intel's next desktop CPU is looking to launch at the end of 2026. Though I am not sure if Nova Lake CPU is going to be the one for me. I know I have written about Intel Ultra, which Intel Ultra shows a lot of potential. That's just me, but I know that if you're working someone at home, or if you're working with a business, Nova Lake will be good for productivity, which in this case, if you are working with a company that is in use of building models or building AI, for instance, then probably this will work out well. Sure, and I'm not going to say that Nova Lake will surpass Ultra, because right now Intel Ultra CPUs have gotten a lot of good reviews lately around a lot of the tech outlets that's been circulating around on the internet. And right now the rounds on Ultra has been very good lately, and I'm honestly in the perception now, or in my mind, Intel is going to do pretty well moving forward. Right now they have a good leadership under Lip-Bu Tan compared to the last guy running the show. Right now they've, like, the last person wasn't doing well to keep up with the new products and trying to keep up with the updated industry from years back. And also that is questionable because Intel, even the last couple years, I mean, first of all, I have to tell you right now why I am bullish with Intel. And as I'm going over the markets this week, and right now it is a winner in this week in the market watch, and right now in this, the shares of Intel have soared this week, and for good reason. Why? I mean, as of this week, Intel had a huge surge in the market, and for a good reason. As I saw this week, Intel was $59 in the stock market from opening of this week, and as I'm going through the market right now on Intel shares right now is up to $62, or excuse me, $62 or $63 as I'm going over right now on the shares, and it's really good. Why it is up right now for that reason, and this is the first time that we're seeing Intel that have gone up high in the markets in the last 5 years. It went up to 43% as of the week too. And if you read over my newsletter column that I wrote about Intel, right now they are winning historically right now because of the surges, and I will tell you why. And it looks like Stockwit, as the article I'm reading, which they've said right there in their article, Northland recently raised its price target on Intel to $92 from $54, indicating an upside potential of about 42% from its current trading price. And this is what they're saying in their subtext right there in this article, which continue on. And from their analysis, Intel Corp shares surge to a 52-week intraday high on Monday, even as the company was on track for a historic 9th straight day of gains. The stock surge to 65.65 cents earlier in the day, pairing some gains after. However, Intel shares were up about 4% at the time of writing on course of 9 consecutive days of climbing higher, the best winning streak since September 2023. Intel has been on the spotlight among retailers, of investors, and Wall Street alike after the chipmaker announced a partnership with SpaceX and xAI and Tesla Incorporated on silicon fabrication technology last week. The deal makes Intel the central foundry for Elon Musk's integrated AI, robotics, and space innovatives. So that's one of the reasons why the shares have gone up with Intel, not just the CPU, or why it's just keeping up, because they're just become better because of the gaming market or because of the AI market. Not just because of just AI too, but the fact is that the partnership is a big deal with Tesla right now, Tesla and SpaceX. And also the column here on StockWit doesn't tell you. I don't know if it does tell you by detail by detail, but from what I wrote down further on that article is that they've partnered with Google, especially with Google data centers. So that is a triple win right there for Intel this week. Because if you've looked at the shares of last year, it was low on $19 as of last year, and now it's making a huge surge as of this week because of what's been happening on the Intel camp lately. So I do think that we're seeing such bullish moves with Intel recently too. Now, I don't know if it's going to go up as high as AMD, because right now the stock performance with AMD is much higher, of course, but who knows if that's going to change over time. We'll see how the indication and the performance with both companies going to work out. But guys, let me know what you think. Do you think that Intel is going to keep up with AMD, or are we still going to see a slow growth under Intel? What is your take? Are you team blue or team red on this one? Let me know down in the comments. This is Leon here. I am out, and see you. Can't wait to have you guys hear me on the next podcast. Have a good week. Take care.